All right, so just a little aside before we go to the pre-diabetes issue. I just want to let you know, every time I do a presentation or make one up, I look at this. This is before the discovery of insulin. So they actually started writing about it in 81 AD. So diabetes has been around a long time. This is what a person who had diabetes looked like before we discovered insulin. The treatment pretty much was you ate only fat and a little bit of protein. So a typical breakfast might be a couple of slices of bacon and some cream, maybe a little butter. They didn't eat any carbohydrates. So this is the same child after the treatment with insulin. Amazing, isn't it? All right, so on to pre-diabetes. So whether you've been diagnosed with pre-diabetes or you've been told that your fasting blood sugar is high, you may not know what that means exactly. Or you have normal blood sugar and it's starting to creep up a little bit and you're getting worried about it. Or if your family has diabetes and you're thinking, am I going to get this? You can do something about it before you get diabetes. Anybody have any of these things going on? Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that well enough because I don't have my distance glasses, but what happens with your blood sugar is that food goes into the stomach and the small intestine, and we break our carbohydrates that we eat down into glucose. Then the glucose goes into your bloodstream. Your hormones from your stomach, they tell your body, oh, we've got some glucose here, and it starts to secrete a hormone that tells your body to release some insulin, because your body cannot use its glucose unless you have insulin to help it do that. The thing about type 2 diabetes, which is the type of diabetes that's related to pre-diabetes, is that your insulin doesn't work very well. Your body resists the mechanism. And what insulin does is it carries the glucose into the cell, across the cell wall, so that it can be used for energy. If you don't have enough insulin or it doesn't work very well, all that glucose starts to build up in the blood, and that's where your high blood sugar comes from. The high blood sugar is what causes the damage to your body. If you think about it, anything that has a lot of sugar in it, think about syrup, the difference between water and the way it flows, and syrup and the way it flows. And then add a little more sugar to the syrup, and you'll see that it slows it down even more. So your blood vessels are the delivery system for your body for oxygen, for white blood cells, for red blood cells. Everything that your body needs for nutrients is delivered on that system. So it's kind of like our freeway system. And I don't know if you guys have noticed lately, but our freeway system is starting to get more and more slow. So we're not getting the deliveries that we need in our body if our blood sugar is high. So it's hard for us to keep our body undamaged if the blood sugar is high, because it damages your nerves. Your nerves and your blood vessels run side by side. So when you don't have the oxygen and the nutrients that you need, your body starts to be damaged. The types of systems that get damaged are like your kidneys, your eyes, your nerves in your hands and your feet, your larger vessels, the ones that run to your heart and to your brain. Any place you have a blood vessel, that's where the damage starts to occur. So these are normal blood sugars. So when you wake up, your blood sugar should be less than 100, 70 to 99. After you eat, even if you had a big bowl of Fruit Loops with extra sugar on it, if your endocrine system is working correctly, your blood sugar should not be more than 140. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should have Fruit Loops with extra sugar. It might give you cavities, you might be overweight, but if your endocrine system is working correctly, what it's going to do with that extra sugar for you is store it somewhere. You're going to use what you can and store the rest. But if your endocrine system is not working correctly, then your blood sugar is going to be high. So you can see these are our target levels for people who have diabetes. Now we're a little more generous than what a normal person's blood sugar is, but our basic desire is to keep these people at or around that of a normal person so that we can decrease any complications. So this is what is the criteria for prediabetes and diabetes. So we use 3 different tests, A1C. An A1C test is a test that measures your last 3 months average blood sugar. It gives us like the whole book version. You know what happened a long time ago. 3 months is a long time in diabetes. Your fasting plasma glucose, now that just means that you haven't eaten anything for at least 8 hours. We're going to test the part of your blood where we've already separated the red blood cells out. And when we do that in the lab, not at home, your machine that you use at home is not a diagnostic test. If it's 126 or above, that is considered to be diagnostic diabetes. 100 to 125, that's pre-diabetes. And less than 99 or 99 or below, that's considered to be normal. And we have one other test that we use. It's called an oral glucose tolerance test. What that is it's like looks like a cola or an orange soda, and they put a lot of extra sugar in it. What they're trying to do is overload your body with sugar and see what you do with it. Because remember earlier I told you that if your endocrine system is functioning correctly, what will happen with that extra sugar is that you'll store it somewhere, but it's not going to make your blood sugar high. So when you take that test, if at an hour it's 200 or above, that's considered to be diabetes. 140 to 199, pre-diabetes, and 139 or below, normal. Out of 3 have pre-diabetes, that's a lot of people. So 1 out of 3, well actually more in here, but if you were to imagine 1 out of 3 people, if you guys weren't here for this type of lecture, that's a lot of people. Also, another statistic that's really important is that 9 out of 10 of those 1 out of 3 don't even know they have prediabetes. So all of these 86 million Americans are at increased risk for developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. So heart disease and stroke are also the #1 killers of people who do have diabetes. If you do have diabetes and you're here for this lecture, what you should remember is your ABCs. So A is A1C, B is blood pressure, and C is cholesterol. So remember your ABCs. So what is prediabetes? It is the early reversible stage of diabetes. That doesn't mean everybody reverses it, but you can usually. The damage is already starting to occur in the body, but you still have time to rechange that. So it's really your little chicken wake-up call here. So what are the risk factors for this? One is weight gain. So it's better to be on the thinner side for prediabetes than it is on the heavier side. And we all know that, it's hard not to gain weight sometimes. You're stressed, or you're taking classes, you're new to college, and you're eating more. What do they say? What is that, like a 10-pound weight gain that a lot of college students get the first couple of years? Freshmen, yeah, not good. As you get older, your metabolism slows down, you start to gain weight, it takes more work to stay on the thinner side here. But weight gain is one of the major risk factors. And the good thing about this risk factor is that you can actually change it. You can't change your hereditary risk factor, but you can change your weight. Okay, so in the case of weight gain, it's always better to be a pear than an apple because weight that you gain in the abdominal area is metabolically active. Remember I told you that your stomach sends signals to your body to increase your insulin? Well, it also sends other signals to your body that make your blood sugar higher. So if you can lose some weight in the belly area, that's always a good thing. And there's also, like in type 2 diabetes, Asians have a little bit harder problem with abdominal weight because they don't usually have big butts, let's just say it that way. But the thing is that they have a higher abdominal fat. So they have to be a little bit more thin, which doesn't seem fair, but I didn't make it up, so. Okay, so bad eating habits, and I'm not saying you can't eat anything bad, because most people think that means you can't eat anything good, right? Bad is good in this case, usually, that's the way people think of it. But when we have really bad eating habits all the time, this really makes a huge difference. I don't know if you guys have been out to eat lately, but I was out to eat and the parents were at IHOP and their kids had like a big stack of pancakes and it was dripping syrup and it had all this other sugary stuff on it, and then they had a huge glass of orange juice and then the whipped cream on top of the pancakes, and I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of gross, you know? And that's breakfast. That's not even dessert. So what can we do about, lack of exercise? You know, she's got the chips, the popcorn, the chocolate, and the soda. Oh, and the remote, too. Her husband must be going crazy. Okay, so lack of exercise, another reason for weight gain and for the prediabetes problem. Okay, so sugar is a major issue. In 1900, people ate about a half a pound of sugar per year. I think we're eating that, let's see, if we're eating 150 pounds a year, so about every 2 days we're eating a half a pound of sugar, which seems like an awful lot of sugar to be eating every 2 days, don't you think? So that's not a good thing. We don't want to eat that much sugar. That's just too much for us. So we need to stop the prediabetes, so we need to eat a little bit better. And we need to start with some sugar here. A little bit less sugar never hurt anybody. So look at these drinks. Do you guys drink these in a normal day? Here's the water. We won't count that one. How about Kool-Aid? I don't drink any Kool-Aid anymore, but I used to when I was a kid. This is lemonade, chocolate milk, Red Bull. Anybody a Red Bull fan? No? Nobody that would admit to it? Okay, how about this? Looks like the thing that you get at 7-Eleven that's like extra large. Look at all that sugar in there. And then here's a large Mountain Dew, which has a ton of caffeine too. So look at that sugar. If you start with your drink, you get a lot of bang for your buck here because it's not that difficult to substitute something without sugar. And because it's got so much sugar, it really affects your blood sugar and your weight. So your calorie level can go down drastically and your sugar level can go down drastically just by changing what you drink. Okay, so here, I know you guys can't see this. Next time I'll make this bigger, but so there's, I can't see it either, 16 teaspoons of sugar in a Coke. And what about Gatorade? Gatorade, that drink that's so good for you. I have a lot of patients who think Gatorade is great for them. They're in diabetes and they're drinking more and more Gatorade and they're wondering why their blood sugar is high. And I'm like, you know, Gatorade was invented for pro athletes. They're like running on a field 6 hours a day, sweating. And when we talk about their exercise habits, nothing like that is happening. So far, they're not doing anything even close to that. So they don't really need any Gatorade or any extra sources of sugar. They've already pretty much got that down. So let's see, we've got 8.5 teaspoons, and that's 130 calories. This is the small Gatorade too, because you ever notice the big Gatorade? Those are like 2 servings, right? And let's see which one comes out the clear winner here. The high, oh yeah, is that Fanta? That's an orange, is that Sunny Delight? Oh my God, everybody thinks that's orange juice, right? Okay, so 20 teaspoons of sugar in the Sunny Delight. I think that's Sunny Delight, is it? What's this one? Oh, it's the Fanta. I used to love that when I was a kid, that and grape soda. But you know, I think they were like this big, and now they're like this big. All right, so most drinks are simple sugars, and the molecule looks more like this. But what we're looking for to try to balance out your diet, because we're already getting plenty of simple sugars, we're trying to get more complex carbohydrates so that it takes longer to break them down. So when you have a choice to make between simple and complex, try to go for complex. Okay, so here's a few more examples of sugar. So this is a McDonald's shake, and I don't even think I can count how many are in there. It looks like about 30 to me. Now these are Oreos, so less sugar in here, but what do we see in here that's not good for us? There's plenty of calories in Oreos, but there's not just sugar, there's also fat. And this would not be the good kind of fat. There's no fish oil in these cookies. All right, so now we're looking at a Coke. So there's 11 teaspoons of sugar in a regular size Coke. And this looks like about twice as much. And then here we're going for the huge gulp size. I don't know who drinks these, but somebody does. And then look over here. So here we got the Mountain Dew and Skittles. I do happen to like Skittles, but I never eat that many Skittles. A few is definitely enough. And then look over here. So here's sorbet. And ice cream has more fat, like the Oreos, but sorbet has more sugar and almost no fat. So, you know, a lot of times people with diabetes think, oh, maybe I'll just have that because ice cream is bad for me. But sorbet is actually going to make your blood sugar higher because when you add fat to something, it takes longer to digest, and then your blood sugar doesn't spike as quickly. But it would be perfect if your blood sugar was low. So if we were treating low blood sugar, sorbet is better than Oreos. Oh, and the Snickers bar. Oh, look at this. So there's a lot of fat in Snickers bars too. And look how much bigger they got. They're huge. They've just gotten huge. Okay, so this is a question I get asked a lot by people. Well, what about natural juice? Well, natural sugar works the same way as white sugar in your body. You might get more vitamins and more minerals out of your natural juice, but you're not going to get any less sugar from it. So it's going to make your blood sugar rise, just like any other kind of juice. Orange juice and soda have about the same amount of sugar in them. So if you were to have a low blood sugar, we would use either one of those to treat your low blood sugar. Total grams of sugar, actually, this is an 8-ounce serving. So an 8-ounce serving of grape juice has 36 grams of sugar. An 8-ounce serving of, let's see, Pepsi's the highest, has 28 grams of sugar. So actually, grape juice is even higher than the soda as far as sugar content. So natural doesn't mean it doesn't have sugar. You need to remember that. Although I will tell you that lemon juice doesn't have any sugar. So whole fruit is always better, and you can look at that here. So here's an orange, 1, 2, there's 6 sugar cubes, and remember I said you've got 11 in just one small can of Coke. The apple, the whole apple, we've got another 6. The banana, serving size of banana is about this size. So one of those small junior bananas or a half of a regular one is a serving size for a banana. And then for a fruit serving size, it's about the size of a tennis ball. An orange, an apple, a pear. If you're going for berries or melon, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but I just round it off to 1 cup because everybody can remember that. So 1 cup of melon, 1 cup of berries, or the size of a tennis ball. Or if it's a banana, you know, it's a piece about that big. Okay, back to our fruit. Oh, so this must be peach Snapple. And over here we have a peach. So 3 sugar cubes here, and who knows how many there, like what, 15, 16? What I use is the plate method, which anyone can use. This is not hard to do. So you want a plate that's normal size, not like the claim jumper size plate, you know. That is not a normal size plate. 9 inches is normal size. Then you want to divide your plate in half, and you want half your plate to be vegetables. So then I ask people, because this is a common issue, do you like vegetables? And sometimes they'll say, yeah, well, I don't know, they're all right. And I say, okay, well, are there certain kinds of vegetables you do like? And when we go over the list, we find out, oh, they like green beans, they like lettuce, they like cucumbers, they like carrots, they like tomatoes, but they don't like broccoli, which is like always the vegetable that people put in pictures, right? Broccoli. They don't like broccoli, they don't like cauliflower, they don't like cabbage. You don't have to eat those. Eat the vegetables you like. We're not interested in torturing you more. We're interested in you actually eating those vegetables so that you get the benefit from that plate method. So if you don't like certain ones, concentrate on the ones that you do like. Then the other thing you need is you need a quarter of the plate in protein. So proteins like chicken, fish, you can have some red meat. For breakfast, you might have peanut butter, maybe not a whole quarter of a plate of peanut butter, that's quite a bit. Peanut butter, you could have cottage cheese, you could have some eggs, things like that. But you need your protein at meals so that you feel full and so that you're not hungry immediately afterwards. Now, the other quarter of the plate can be a starch. So rice, beans, potatoes, bread, pasta, whatever you want to put in there, that's fine. The problem we've had with starches in the past is because most of this plate was covered with starch, and then we had a little vegetable on top. Like, okay, we had a big plate of pasta, there was a couple of little slivers of tomato on top, and a sliver of chicken. So it's not the problem. The problem is not with the starch, the problem is with the quantity. And then you can add a milk. Now here, this plate planner is from New York, and they have 6 ounces. We use 8 ounces. It's a minor detail. And one of the reasons I use 8 ounces is because it's easy to remember a cup of fruit, a cup of milk. Now, if you have children, you can see the inside, the dotted line right here. They're saying use this for your children and then cut it up. Protein is important. You need your protein. So these are some foods that have protein in them because when you're figuring out what to have for your meal, you definitely have to have some protein. And if you look, are the rices in here? So here's quinoa. So it has 8 grams of protein, which is pretty good. Beans have 12 for a cup, and this has 8. Yogurt, Greek yogurt, here's your yogurt. Remember I said that the Greek yogurt has twice as much protein, so 12 grams per cup for the Greek and 6 for the regular. Looks like edamame is a clear winner here. 30 grams. I really like edamame too. Of course, I like it with salt. All right, so a good rule of thumb for bad fats versus good fats is bad fats come from animals with faces. Cows, sheep, pigs, but not fish. Fish are good fats, so I don't know if they have a face or not. Do fish have faces? Okay, so fish have faces, but they're an exception. Bad fats come from animals. Butter, cream, the fat on a steak, that white part, the skin on the chicken. Now, good fats come from, well, apparently bad fats also come from potato chips and pizza. But good fats come from things like nuts and fruits, fruit being avocado, olive oil, walnut oil, corn oil. So vegetable and fruits, those are the type of fats that are actually good for you. But you have to be careful with fats because they have a lot of calories in them. They're very dense in calories, so you don't want to use too much. And your nuts are included in that category too. If you eat too much of them, your weight will increase. And remember we said your weight is another factor for your diabetes. So it's good to have them, but you want to have them in smaller quantities. All right, so this is part of the white rice versus brown rice and white bread versus brown bread or whole grain bread is that when your carbs are whole versus refined, then you get more of the outside of the grain, and that helps because you're higher in fiber, which slows down your digestion. It's higher in protein, which slows down the digestion, and it also has more vitamins and minerals. So we're looking for things that are less processed, because the more processed it becomes, the faster it goes into your bloodstream. Okay, so this kind of ties into all of that. So glycemic index, what is that? Glycemic index is a number that we associate with a food that indicates the effect on a person's blood sugar as compared to white table sugar. So the lower the glycemic index, this is a low glycemic index, the less it shoots your blood sugar up. So what we're looking for with blood sugar is, rather than it being high like this and then all of a sudden crashing down like this, we want something that's more sustained. Doesn't go as high, doesn't go as low. We're trying to keep it between 70 and 140. So part of how we do that is by what we eat in the glycemic index. So the problem with glycemic index is, though, that we never eat just one food by itself. We eat several foods together, so we kind of have to, you have to be a kind of a glycemic index expert. Well, this does this and that does that. Glycemic index is always slowed down by fat. So when we have diabetics who have Italian food, their blood sugar is high for quite a while. Lots of cheese, lots of fat, but lots of pasta too. So they're high for a while. So the problem with that glycemic index that went way up and then shot back down is that what goes up has to come down. Oh, look at that cute little kitty. And that's not what we want for ourselves, because that doesn't help us sustain our energy or to control our blood sugar or prevent damage to our bodies. So we need to do something about breakfast, because breakfast is kind of a big deal and it is the start of your day. This is actually a pretty good breakfast. They've managed to figure out how to get some vegetables in there. They've got, looks like spinach in there, eggs, and some salsa on top, which is probably the easiest way to get vegetables into your breakfast, like a nice little vegetable omelet, something like that. And they've got some peanut butter toast here, and it looks like they put some cinnamon on top of it. Everybody loves cinnamon and thinks it's good for your blood sugar. We don't really have any proof yet, but I think it's probably pretty good for you. And then here's half a grapefruit. So how many carbs in this? Do you guys know? So there's a half a grapefruit is one serving of fruit. One serving of fruit is always going to be 15 grams of carbohydrate. And then we've got a piece of bread here, a small piece of bread like this. You know, pieces of bread come in anywhere from this size to this size. You know, they don't have the same amount of carbohydrates, even if it is one slice. So a slice of bread is like 15. This slice of bread is probably like 30. So in that breakfast, we've probably got maybe 30 grams of carbohydrate, which is pretty good for a breakfast. So how do we do that? These are some healthy breakfasts that someone, not me, put together. But we've got a whole wheat waffle, some peanut butter for protein, a sliced banana. How big should that banana be? Half. A sliced banana, this is a good start. Over here we've got English muffin. English muffin, oh, are bagels good for you? Do you guys know? No. How many slices of bread does a bagel, normal size bagel, equal? At least 4, yeah. More like 5, really. Because they're so dense. They're like concrete. My son found a pit bull one time, and she was like a little chunk of concrete. Like if she jumped on you, it was like a bowling ball hit you. You're like, oh my God, she was so sweet too. She just like put her head next to you. So, but she's very dense, and so are bagels. You're much better off with an English muffin in the morning than you are with a bagel. So here we have an English muffin, a poached egg, some avocado. That sounds pretty good, actually. They've got a whole wheat tortilla, scrambled eggs, some chopped vegetables, some salsa, This is the to-go one, the yogurt, the mixed berries, and some kashi-go-lean cereal. Instant oatmeal. Now, I want to tell you that you can actually use regular oatmeal as instant oatmeal. You can put it in the microwave, your regular oatmeal, because instant oatmeal is not as good for you. It doesn't have as much whole grain, and they tend to add a lot of stuff that kind of shoots your blood sugar up. So if you're having problems with instant oatmeal, use the regular one and put it in the microwave. And then over here we have a muffin. Okay, so what size is a muffin supposed to be? Does anybody know? Yeah, it's supposed to be, you have muffins, right? Hold that muffin up. So when was the last time in a coffee shop you saw a muffin that looked like that? Muffins in coffee shops are like gigantic. They're like loaves of bread now. You know, you carry your muffin back with you and you've got your orange juice. You now have 170 grams of carbohydrate, right? Enough for all day. So just be careful that that muffin isn't bigger than you are. So with that muffin, they also added an egg and a little bit of a melon. So all of these together, it ranges anywhere from 230 to 360 calories. I think I need a little bit more than that, but some people don't. But these are much healthier than our usual breakfast. What about fast food breakfasts? What about those? If you were going to eat a fast food breakfast, what should you have? The croissant, the biscuit thing, or the egg McMuffin? Egg McMuffin, always. And should you have the hash browns with it? No. Probably not. Okay, cereal. Everybody likes cereal. I like cereal. Y'all like cereal. So cereal is not really that good for your blood sugar though, because cereal is basically flour that they ground down into little tiny pieces and they put it back together, and as soon as it hits your stomach it starts to dissolve and shoot your blood sugar up. So what you want for a cereal is you want it to have more whole grain. You would prefer that it had more protein and more fiber. So the go-lean, have you guys had kashi go-lean? I actually like it, but some people, like at my house, they look at it like, what the heck did you just bring in the house? They're like, I'm not eating that. I'm like, but it's good for you. They're like, I don't care. But if you like go-lean, which I do, it's got a higher protein, a higher fiber content, and it's much better for your blood sugar. So here's some other ones that are pretty good for your blood sugar too. Captain Crunch is on this side. My son loves Captain Crunch. Okay, here's another example of a good breakfast. We've got a couple of corn tortillas here. These are not fried. We've got some eggs, some avocado, some salsa. Pretty good, not bad. But breakfast isn't our only meal, so now we have to go to lunch. And here's some lunchbox ideas. So some good fruit ideas, and your fruit size should be the size of a tennis ball. And here's your vegetables. So I don't like cutting up vegetables. I'm kind of a lazy cook, so I like carrot sticks, and I like things that can go into a baggie that I don't have to cut up and stuff like that. So carrot sticks are like one of my go-to things. There's something else too, and I can't think of it right now. Celery. Anything that's easy, you're probably going to take more because you're going to get tired of chopping little things all the time. So make sure, and you could do little baggies at the beginning of the week, like on Sunday or Saturday, and then just put them in there so you can just grab them. And here you need your protein. You cannot go without your protein. You'll be really hungry. So we've got beans, hummus, edamame, boiled eggs, peanut butter, meatballs. I don't know where they got meatballs. Dairy, things like the string cheese, that's mozzarella, that's a lower fat cheese. The lower the fat, remember, the fat in cheese comes from a cow, which has a face, which is not a good fat. Unless it's fish cheese, and then you're all okay. So, whole grains. So Triscuit crackers, have you guys tried the new Triscuit? Now they have quite a bit of salt in them, so if you have any high blood pressure, you probably shouldn't do it, but I have low blood pressure, thank God, because I love salt. But they have some flavors like rosemary and cracked pepper. It goes very well with like hummus and things like that, and better for you because they're whole grain. They have a light salt one too. All right, so here's a few tips. So embrace lettuce wraps. Lettuce is good for you, but it is not good for you to go to Easy or In-N-Out, get the lettuce wrap double, the French fries, and a milkshake. The lettuce does not cancel out all the rest of the fat in that meal. Okay, so adapt traditional recipes by adding protein and doubling veggies. So I get a lot of people who, their culture, they have this dish or that dish, and I said, okay, well, a little less of the pasta or the noodles, double however many vegetables you're putting in there, and then add some chicken or something like that. And it makes it a lot better for them to have than it did originally. You can always change your recipes. You can use applesauce instead of fat. You can do that. Another thing you can do is replace half of your mashed potatoes with cauliflower. Can't taste the difference. If you don't like the half, try the third. Try to make your soups and salads more of a meal. Add some protein, some more vegetables. Peanut butter with celery, peanut butter with carrots, peanut butter on apples. Or hummus is good with vegetables. Like hummus is particularly good with like carrot sticks. Deviled eggs are good. Try replacing your chips with some popcorn. If you have to have rice, try your brown rice instead of the white if you can. And dark chocolate is a pretty good substitute for milk chocolate or chocolate bars. This is a whole grain biscuit. The whole grain one's over here, the regular one's over here. So instead of sour cream, you can use yogurt. You can also make something called yogurt cheese, where you take like cheesecloth or just the paper towel and put it in a strainer, and you put the yogurt in there and it drips out the water and it makes it nice and condensed like cream cheese. And you can use that to spread on things, or you can use it in recipes. This is spinach for lettuce, whole grain for regular, and then dark chocolate for regular chocolate. So what about cravings? Because we all have cravings. They recommended like the TLC cookies, which I happen to really like. So I don't buy them too much because I like to eat them a lot. Lara bars or Clif bars instead of Pop-Tarts. So I'm not saying these are good for you, but they're better than Pop-Tarts. So what if you're looking for something creamy, maybe a yogurt instead of ice cream? Salty, we can go for nuts, or I can't even see what that is. Popcorn, I think that's popcorn. Nuts, popcorn, that's jerky. You have to watch the salt though if your blood pressure is high. Over here, you want something lower in calories than your regular soda. And then instead of cheesy, they're going for more of a whole grain or a low-fat type of cheese. Laughing Cow or those little baby bells. Baby bells even are fat now. Oh, I went over, I'm so sorry. Okay, we'll just speed along. So these are snacks. You could use those. It's really not more expensive to eat real food than it is to eat fast food. Totally isn't. $20 more, 4 more Whoppers. So fast food, you can ask for grilled, split your French fries, try the kids' meal, pass up the value size, drink water or low-fat milk. Okay, so you don't have to lose a lot of weight to make a big impact on your prediabetes or your diabetes, either one. 10 to 15 pounds, you do not have to lose that in 2 months. A year would be a good length of time to lose 10 pounds. Underlying causes of problems with prediabetes, no exercise. So you need to burn a few more calories. Okay, so this was something that really struck me because I just figured this out. An hour workout is only 4% of your day. A half an hour workout is 2%. That's not very much. So, the incidence of diabetes is decreased by 40% by 30 minutes of exercise a day. So 40% decrease for 2% of your day. And then this just goes on to tell you how many calories are burned by sleeping 55 an hour, eating 85, but you're still taking in more calories at the same time, unfortunately. Find some little tricks. So you increase your incline, you increase your calorie burn. Here's some regular things that we do every day. Stairs, just plain old walking, going to the grocery store, sweeping the floor. I hope you guys do that. This is calories per mile by weight. Unfortunately, the greater your weight, the more calories you burn. Well, fortunately for some people, not fortunately for me. Okay, so goal setting. The most important part of goal setting is that they're specific, measurable, adjustable, realistic, and time specific. Mistakes in goal setting, you make it too big, too many, you can't follow through, they're not specific, you don't even know what you're doing, and they're not written down because you can't remember what you wrote down yesterday, right? I actually brought you guys some handouts and they're in my car, so I'll bring them up and it talks about goal setting, things like that. So the big secret in life is that there is no big secret. Whatever your goal is, you have to be willing to work to get there. And Oprah Winfrey, who has lost and gained a lot of weight, should know. She knows that it takes a lot of work to do this type of thing. So you can achieve your goals, just make them small. And then I included this. There is a website called D-Life, and they are putting on an event called Exercise and Diabetes on February, and it's free, completely free. So if you guys are interested, you can just go on, look up D-Life, join them if you feel like it, and watch this. I think that's it. Yep, that's it.